One sec. All right, should be good to go.
All right, thanks everyone. It's 8:05 and we'll call the meeting to order. So to start with, based on the way the pilots are set up for these solar projects under that were negotiated before our new policy, we have to have deviation hearings. The taxing jurisdictions have been notified of this, and basically Brittany or Kevin chime in, but my understanding is we need to open these deviation hearings for any public comment or comment from the taxing jurisdictions. They've been notified that we're doing this morning, and then we leave that open for the duration of our meeting today, and that'll meet the requirements.
That's correct. The county, the school of the Adirondack, and the town of Leiden have the right to submit comments either in person or in writing. And it was just pointed out to me that Rosalie White, the town supervisor for the town of Leiden, has sent an email to Brittany and to me with some comments regarding the deviation from the UTEP. Should I read that, or it's not real long?
Yeah, you could read that. I think the biggest thing is some of our taxing jurisdictions were just really unsure of what this hearing is for, and it's really just a formality in the pilot process. Now that we have our newly adopted UTEP, hopefully in the future we won't have to do these deviation hearings with solar. But yeah, Kevin, you can kind of go into what Rosalie emailed.
Well, I'll first of all, she says that she's unable to make the meeting. She can't make any educated comments because she doesn't know what we are deviating from. She does not have a copy of the UTEP. And she's kind of asked for some explanation of what that is, and we can send that to her. She also pointed out that the notice referred to South Lewis Central School, and it should be Adirondack. That was later corrected. The notice was sent to Mr. Niznik at Adirondack School. I think that's his name. She says, I would like to add this comment since it was the county, parentheses, Ryan Pichet, and the school district, Adirondack, that caused the town of Leiden to lose the proposed host community agreement, which resulted in a loss of $676,418 over the period of 25 years. I would welcome another proposal regarding the pilot split as follows. And she suggests the county allocate 5% of their portion to the town of Leiden, which would reduce the county from 29.1 to 24.1%. The school district allocate 10% of their portion to the town of Leiden, reducing their percentage from 52.6 to 42.6, and the town of Leiden's percentage would increase from 18.2% to 33.2%. And she also states that in a prior email from Cheyenne dated June 3rd, 2020, it was noted that the pilot funds between the taxing, that the allocation of pilot funds could be negotiated between the taxing jurisdictions, but all of the taxing affected jurisdictions must agree. And she was asking how would this be accomplished, and so those are her comments. And Brittany, do you want to respond to that, or?
Brett, do you mind if I
Yep, go ahead, Shay.
make one comment? So she noted the letter or email I sent 6 months ago, and we had multiple Zoom conversations with the taxing jurisdictions between that email and today's date, with no movement in any kind of direction like this. So I guess my note is that they've had ample opportunity to pursue this path.
Yeah, that would have to be an agreement between all the jurisdictions. And, you know, as Cheyenne said, they've had 6 months worth of time to negotiate that if the other two jurisdictions were willing to go that route. So.
So this was the only comment from the Duke Leiden project. Cheyenne did get an email from the business manager at Adirondack that she might be hopping on, but I don't see her on Zoom. Shai, any comment from the Omni project?
Omni and just a note on the Duke. Yeah, the school district did get a hold of me yesterday. I offered an opportunity to call because I wondered if it might just be confusion about this. Nobody really understands what a deviation hearing means. So they didn't call me, and then, like you said, they haven't hopped on the Zoom. So I'm hopeful that they're okay, but I'll follow up with them just to make sure that they're feeling okay about the pilot. On Omni, Lowville School District I did connect with them via call because they were confused about what we were deviating from. Had we changed something since we last spoke to the taxing jurisdictions about the pilot amount and terms, etc. And just confusion on what a deviation hearing means. So I explained that to them, that nothing has changed from what we negotiated, and they're happy to move forward.
I think that's an important point. None of this is because we've changed anything on these agreements. This is because the agreement that these taxing jurisdictions sat through, the negotiations and the process they sat through, the entire process was because it's a renewable energy project under our old system was a deviation from our old UTEP. So just to be clear, we haven't gone and changed anything on any of these projects.
Right. And Brittany and I kind of discussed this morning that going forward, especially given that we've adopted a revised UTEP, as soon as we hear about a pilot being considered in a taxing jurisdiction, who especially one that hasn't done one before, that will ask to get on their board agenda and just do a pilots 101, because all this stuff is confusing, the technical terms and whatnot. So to try to help people understand the process that we're going through to get there.
Okay.
I just note that the deviation notice that they received does lay out that there's actually two deviations that are being considered. One is the length of the pilot agreement. In the UTEP, I think it talks about a 20-year pilot. This is, the pilot agreement is going to be 25. And then the annual payments, the UTEP, I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly what it said, but this was a negotiated amount of per megawatt, and with an inflationary factor, which also was not in the UTEP as well. So those are the two changes that were pointed out to these folks, and that's the variation. Just so that there's nothing hidden from them, that we told them that we're making two changes from the standard policy. The UTEP policy has been provided to them in the past whenever the UTEP is reviewed. So they should have a copy of it. They should know what we're deviating from, but the notices do state exactly what the deviation is. So, and there are also negotiated items within the pilot that that should definitely be aware of anyway.
All right. So I guess that'll be open, and if anyone does join for comment, we'll address that if it happens. So moving on to the director's report.
All right, thank you. We sent you all the packet last week, and hopefully you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. And in that packet was my executive director's report, some highlights to note from November. And again, just to highlight, I've structured this report just like we've set up our strategic plan to keep things aligned and in line with our strategic plan. We started regional partner meetings this past month. This past week, we actually met with the Tug Hill Commission and Tug Hill Tomorrow Land Trust to talk about some of their initiatives and how we can collaborate and work together more in the future. This is definitely a big priority of ours, is to really nail down some of our regional partners. What are they working on here within our county, and how can we help and how can we work together? So those meetings so far have been very positive, and they're very appreciative that we reach out to them and actually sit down with them and chat with them about what they're working on and what we're working on as well. And with that, we started our annual sit downs with our manufacturers. Typically we do this in the summers, but this year just got past us. So we have 2 manufacturer meetings this week just to assess their needs, see how they're doing, talk about workforce, any training opportunities, future expansion projects, and just how we can help them moving forward, and also get them more involved in what we're doing. So again, those have been very positive as well. This past month, Cheyenne has worked hard on getting the bark eater equipment sold. She'll get more into that on our Q3 loan report, but we're expecting to recoup more than half of the funds, which is very positive. So hopefully we can get rid of that equipment within the next month or so. And then I wanted to share with you all, last month we introduced you all to the Winter Design Challenge grant program that we were implementing through the Lewis County Development Corporation. We had our first round of applicants and awards. Okay, so on the screen, these are all the applicants that we've awarded in the first round. It was about $10,000 worth of projects, anything from fire pits to, Boondocks is taking their brand new $3 million event venue and turning it into overflow. Seating, Tony Harper's, they're enclosing their outdoor patio and putting outdoor heaters so that they can actually use that space in the winter for outdoor dining. Tug Hill Vineyards are creating snowshoe trails and opportunities for outdoor seating. What I like about all these projects is that they are really spread out across the county. So we have projects funded from Harrisville all the way down to Osceola. So we have about $10,000 more. We're doing another round of funding. There are a number of restaurants who just needed some ideas. They weren't sure if a certain project of theirs could qualify for this. So we're doing some more outreach, and in 2 weeks, we will sit down again with the committee and hopefully have 10 more projects to award. That is all I have. Any questions?
I had a question, Brittany, about the Development Authority. Let me just get back to my notes here on it. The broadband assessment. Yeah. That is out. Just wondering, have you been involved in any of the conversations in terms of any of the initiatives they have planned pending the results, or is this just fact finding at this point?
From what I understand, and Jenna, you can chime in if I'm missing anything. Jenna has been working with DANK on the marketing and helping to do outreach for the survey. I think this is just an assessment to figure out where the gaps are, and then where those gaps are, what are people willing to pay, and what types of internet do they need? And then I think from there, they will use that data to take that next step and see if there is a developer who could help implement broadband throughout the entire county or help us to get grant funding again.
Have they projected any sort of timeline for this once they have the information?
survey goes through the end of the year, and then the second phase starts the beginning of 2021 to kind of assess the needs and then move forward with if there's certain things they're going to do because of the results, basically.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Hopefully this survey can accomplish what this county has been trying to accomplish for many years. Hopefully we can actually make some movement and get some broadband in Denmark, right, Darlene and Ron?
And beyond.
Yeah. All right.
If I may, well, this is Kevin, I'll offer a comment about the broadband. And that is Spectrum has just upgraded the West Martinsburg community in that area to fiber optics. So we went from having essentially no broadband service or really, really spotty stuff to it's unbelievably fast now. So
Great.
and that's why I kind of waited to fill out the survey, because we went from nothing to really, really excellent service right now.
That's wonderful to hear.
And those Spectrum trucks seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, and I know with Spectrum, they had to, I think it was something with their merger with Time Warner, they had to fulfill their obligation, and they said that they would upgrade all of these areas, and they have. Like I almost think they're upgrading like New Bremen, Belfort area, Krogan, Belfort area as well.
I think what's missing is just that last mile connecting the dots, because I agree, they are improving, but they're not expanding, which is part of that agreement, as I understand it.
Yep, that is correct.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Brittany?
Nope.
The next on the list would be the correspondence.
So we received a memo from National Grid Renewables. We sat down with those developers a couple of weeks ago, Cheyenne and I. National Grid Renewables, they were formerly known as Geronimo Energy. They have two very, very large projects proposed, solar projects proposed in the town of New Bremen, in the town of Krogan, in the town of Wilna area. These are large commercial scale 100 megawatt projects, taking up many, many acres. So we gave them our draft UTEP at the time, just so they know what they're getting into when it comes to a pilot with the IDA. And they sent back their responses and their concerns with the UTEP. I shared it with Cheyenne and Joe, and we were able to draft a response back to them, just with some responses to some of their concerns. So I will send that response back to all of you. And we did invite them to sit down with us again. I will note in regard to the solar process, back over the summer, I think I'd mentioned that we were working with Soil and Water and Real Properties on creating the GIS maps that include the prime and marginal lands, as well as areas for solar opportunity. Those maps are uploaded onto the county mapping system. So we're going to sit down soon and do a couple of scenarios of, some proposed solar projects in the county, and just see what their pilot would be based on where they're located and what type of land they're located on. So we will start navigating that process this month. Any questions on that? Also, I will note, Joe did receive an email from a landowner, a local farmer, who did state that he thought that what we were doing is genius. So that's a positive from a local landowner, and I'm thinking that what we're doing is a really good thing for the community.
All right, thank you. We haven't had anyone join, have we?
Nope.
All right, so,
Sorry to interrupt again, but I have
Yep.
a correspondence that I think I should report on. And that is I received mail from, I think it was on Monday, from the state of Texas regarding the NRG judgment that we filed. And they mailed all of the paperwork, including our check that we had sent in 2 months ago or 3 months ago. They sent it all back to us. And they said that they have switched to an e-filing system. So their paper filing system is no longer operable. So the judgment that we attained against NRG was not filed in Texas, as I thought. But it has now been filed. Angel, my assistant, basically took this as a personal affront, and she basically wrestled with the Texas e-filing system most of the day yesterday in order to get it filed correctly. So it was just frustrating that they sent everything back that we had sent to them back in, I'm not sure when it was, August, I think. And no one ever told us anything about that. None of their websites said anything about switching to e-filing, but apparently we got caught in that. But now it is filed. So we do have a judgment against NRG in their home county in the state of Texas. And I would just commend Angel for calling up and yelling at the people from Texas for not explaining what's going on. So
Thanks, Kevin.
thank you, and thanks for sticking with it.
Thank Angel. No, thank me.
All right, I think the next thing would be a committee report, and we had a one meeting last month, and I think Tom's on the phone if he has any updates.
Yeah. Okay, I can go over roughly what we went through on the October financials. It was pretty standard. There was some expenses from the move from the old office to the new. That was about the only thing that I saw that was really different in there. We spent quite a bit of time discussing the LCDC and the development of the community fund, and our thought that we came up with was to see if we could have a 50-50 split for the funding to get this paperwork done. We discussed the Lands Falls mill cleanup. Thought it would be a good plan to go ahead and pay that off because we're paying $1,100 interest on it. The extension of the High Falls mortgage, we thought probably it would be a good idea to let that go, or just ride for a year to see how things were going there, because COVID really hasn't helped him much. So just thought maybe the status quo would be the way to go there. We discussed the Lionsdale property and felt it would be a good idea to go ahead and use the Cameron group to see if we could do something to develop that property and get it sold or used in some way. So those were kind of the highlights of our meeting that was back on November 19th.
And I will add in regards to the Lions Falls Mill cleanup, the line of credit. We took out a line of credit. It was our obligation for the phase 4 of the cleanup. We are waiting on an ESD grant, which should be coming to us this month. We just got wind, I think last week from DANK that that grant should be coming to us mid-December. So we decided to just pay off that line of credit because, like Tom said, it was $1,100 a month in interest payments that we're accruing, and we should be getting our money soon. So.
All right, sorry, folks. Kind of a crazy morning here. All right. So moving on, and this will get into a few of those things that Tom was talking about, but we have 4 items for approval, starting with the minutes from last month's meeting, which were shared prior to this meeting by email. Did everyone get a chance to look at them? Are there any comments or questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Darlene, second. Ron, Tom?
Second, yeah.
Tom? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you. October financials, Tom mentioned this, and then Cheyenne, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, we reviewed at the finance committee, so I won't go into any detail, but yeah, the biggest outliers were kind of our moving expenses to get out of Climax and into and out of Interior Outfitters and into this building and get it up and going. I think everybody's had a chance to visit. Hopefully now it's feels like home. But other than that, we've been having a couple budgeting sessions between Brittany and I, looking forward to our next fiscal year, and kind of in that process have also highlighted that we need to get on some of our spending on the projects we had targeted for this year, now that we're back running full speed. So I guess that's a warning to come. You'll see some spending on projects.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on the financials? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll
I'll
make it.
move that.
I'll second.
Tom, seconded by Ron. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carries. All right, now this is the next item is this contract extension that Tom referred to. Brittany or Cheyenne, did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, so we have a mortgage agreement with the LCDC for the High Falls building from 2011. So over the past summer, through our audit, it was brought to our attention that this contract ends in May 2021. The agreement has been that the LCDC would pay the IDA just interest annually, which was $1,000 a year. So now we brought this up to the finance committee and asked their opinion on how we should proceed. And because of, and this is the building that Black River Valley Natural is located in on the mill site. And I think when we think about our future relationship with the LCDC and Black River Valley Natural and some of their financial struggles that they've been having, the finance committee recommended that we extend this agreement for one more year. So the LCDC will pay the IDA another $3,000 for one more year. And that will give us ample time to figure out the best solution for that building. I know James does want some sort of option to purchase or some sort of lease to own agreement with that building. So it'll just allow us a little bit to figure out a good solution for that building. And Jerry just joined us, by the way. Hi, Jerry.
Okay, so sorry, but to wrap that up, so we would need a motion to extend that for 1 year, at basically the current agreement for 1 year, and then allow more time to study what's best for the future.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I think I heard Darlene first. Any discussion, comments? Right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. So the last item for approval is the final resolution on the Duke Wyden energy pilot. And that was shared by Cheyenne this morning. Probably didn't have a lot of time to look at it, but you should have it in your email. And I don't know if Kevin wants to, make any comments, or Cheyenne.
Kevin, do we have to close out? Do we have to close out our deviation hearing before we approve this?
Yes, we could certainly discuss it first, but the motion is, the resolution rather, is contingent upon completion of that deviation hearing. So, but it certainly can be discussed ahead of time. You just can't really vote on it until you close the deviation hearing.
So we can table that then for to allow a little more time and go on to our discussion items.
All right. The Q3 loan report was reviewed at the Finance Committee, and hopefully you guys have had a chance to look at it as well. So I actually did the report towards the end of October, so I just made it current to that date. But everybody was current within 30 days, and Skewed was the only one who had anything outstanding even within 30 days. So a great point to be at there, obviously, with the exception of NRG, and that's in litigation. So everybody, loans, leases, rental agreements, everything was current there. We have the CDBG portion down below that shows just what's been awarded, which is everything at this point, where we are in disbursements and getting that admin money back in the IDA's hands. So we're doing that well there, and we've had disbursements since then. So working towards the goal of wrapping that one up in the spring, having everybody purchase their equipment and then being able to reimburse them. We've also added the Barkeeter equipment sale portion below to try to keep transparency on the $10,000 loan that we forgave and how much we're able to recoup versus that. This hasn't all been collected yet, but these are some has, and that's the amount we have committed. And really, we haven't put a ton of effort into this yet. So I'm confident we can get up to about $8,000 in recoupment, and maybe it'll surprise me and be higher. So I think that's better than I expected, to be honest. And I think that'll put us at a really good point. Any questions on that? All right, do you want to move on to the mid-year budget versus actual?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. Brett, did you want to talk about that, or do you want me to dive into that?
I will note, we thought it was just a good time. We're halfway through our fiscal year to talk about our budget versus where we estimate that will be with our budget. I will say I did send you all a calendar invite for a December 17th budget workshop. We decided to spice things up a little bit than what we've done in the past. Cheyenne, as she stated, we have been working on the 21-22 budget, which is due in February to the state. So we will be presenting that draft budget as well as our strategic plan and how both of those align. So Shai, I'll have you get into the nitty-gritty of where we're at.
Yeah, and we'll try to keep it at a fairly high level on this. The blue text and numbers are kind of the sum of the black items below them on the sheet that you have in front of you. We are way ahead of budget on charges for services. That's driven by pilot fees and in particular this year driven by miscellaneous solar projects that have come across our desk. So that's the 2 US Light projects, the 2 Omni Navitas projects, and we expect probably one more 5 megawatt project before the end of the year. So we're in really good shape there. Our rental and financing income and investment earnings, those, I got some advice from our auditor, and those have just been shuffled around what's underneath them a little bit. So they'll net out to about where we're expecting for the year. Other operating revenue, we're right on track. We might come in a little shy, but a lot of that is some things that we budgeted for that actually hit in the previous fiscal year versus this fiscal year. So not a bad problem at all. We did not budget for the CDBG grant and the Lions Falls Mill spend. That should just be a pass through. Those should both net out to zero on revenue versus expenditures. So nothing really big there. Another item to highlight, there have been bigger spends on professional services. That was kind of just a budget versus what happened with the county money coming in. The county money comes in at the beginning of the calendar year versus our fiscal year. So the way we budgeted that was kind of funny, but we're fine there. Our other operating expenditures are very light at this point. And like I kind of alluded to earlier, that's mostly driven by the fact that staffing changes, COVID, and my maternity leave kind of made us pause a little longer than we would have liked to. So as we get our strategic plan kind of finalized these next couple of weeks, we can kind of hit the road running and obviously not just blow money, but spend it where it needs to be spent. And there's room for that in the budget. And that is really about all to highlight on that. As you can see, bottom line of that budget versus actual, we're in great shape. We budgeted $40,000 of revenue or excess revenue, I guess, for the year, and we're looking at about $304,000 without any crazy things happening. Again, a lot of that's driven by the extra pilot fees, but I think we've done pretty well at reining in any kind of excess spending too. Any questions on that? We can take a deeper dive in our budget workshop as we look at the streams of funding and spending. It's really exciting stuff, guys.
All right, thanks. So we can just keep moving through these items, whoever wants to.
The next few items, I'll just go through quickly. The county budget was approved. So we did request the same amount as this past year, $180,560. We will receive that amount again in January. So again, we're very appreciative of the county's support of everything that we're doing. The Community Economic Development Fund update, again, Tom hinted on this earlier. We are going to move ahead in working with the LCDC and Joe Scott from Hodgson Russ. Joe is going to help us to create the host community agreement, as well as the program, just making sure that how the LCDC operates and administers that program is in good shape. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. And just as a reminder, the number 3 project, number 3 wind project, that all the taxing jurisdictions, they did agree on a pilot amount, and anything above that pilot amount, they also agreed that that money would go into this Community Economic Development Fund. So it was about $1,000 per megawatt. Any questions on that? Lionsdale project update. We are moving ahead with Camoin to help us with the RFP process. We're really excited to work with them and to learn from them. We're hoping that we can get this sample RFP and be able to use that for future properties in the future. Cheyenne did bring Tyler McDonald up to the property yesterday. Tyler is with Constableville Auction Hall and Adirondack Assets. There's still a lot of stuff left in those buildings, and we haven't done anything with the property all year. Just a lot of miscellaneous parts and tools and a lot of stuff we have no idea really what it is. So he's going to do a run through and see if there's anything that he can auction off for us. I'm not sure when he plans to get back to you, Cheyenne, but hopefully in a couple of weeks we can have an answer on is anything selling that's been left up there. And then Kevin, can you get into the update on the challenged assessment on the Lionsdale property?
Sure. Just to, I guess, repeat, the IDA owns that property. It has an excessive assessment on it based upon the condition of the property with all the improvements on it. I can't remember what the numbers are, but over $1 million. And the Brittany and Cheyenne went through the process to challenge the assessment with the town, and there was no cooperation or movement there. So we actually had to sue in Supreme Court, and the town's time in which to respond in court has expired, and no one has appeared on their behalf. In fact, the town attorney has been instructed not to participate in the lawsuit at all. Don't file a defense, don't talk to me, don't do anything, because they don't want to pay him any money. So the law clerk for Judge Merrill, Steve Smith, called me up basically to say, is this really what's going on? Because it's pretty unusual for a respondent in litigation to not show up like this. And so we then tried to figure out what the next step to do is. And I talked to Cheyenne, obtained a copy of the appraisal that was done by Eric Sunderhaft, I believe. And we're going to be filing a motion for a default judgment against the town, and request that the assessment be reduced down to the value that Mr. Sunderhaft had assigned to the property of $150,000, which would greatly reduce the taxes that are due on that property.
Yeah, and just a note on that, when the facility was running, it was assessed at over 8 million.
8 million, okay.
And then they did adjust it down this past year after all the cleanup was done, but they only adjusted it down to a little over 5 million. And since the property's in the IDA's name, it's tax exempt. But we're going through this process to make sure it's more saleable so that any potential buyer doesn't get faced with this this possible burden of taxes, at least for year one until it's reassessed. So this is just making sure that we make this property saleable.
Any other questions on that?
Do you have any timeline for what Camoin can do for us there?
She sent an email that she is going to connect with us this week about getting that process started. I'm thinking maybe a couple of months to go through the process that they propose. The first step was to have a meeting with the town of Lionsdale. It's really important to us that we build that relationship with them and also get their input and their ideas of what they want in their township, what type of business. And as they've mentioned to us, we don't want an overseas company, like we want an American company, just because they've been through a lot with Reenergy for years. So that's the first step, is to really work with the town of Lionsdale, get their input and their ideas, and really make sure that we're on the same page, so that we're not trying to force something in their town that they may not want. And then after that, they will help us to develop the RFP. And then we want to make sure that we get it out locally, but also Camoin is going to help us to get it out to developers across the state. All right. So the last thing we wanted to share with you all, before we get into the Duke Energy resolution, we've been working on Naturally Lewis promotional videos for this has been a year in the works. Because of COVID, it kind of halted production. And we wanted to share those draft videos with you guys today. They are really amazing. We contracted with Eric Adset. He is a Laval Academy alumni, very talented photographer and videographer. He actually works for Roost, which is the tourism promotion agency for the Lake Placid region. But because I personally know him and he's in Laval, he does a lot of work for us, and he's just super talented. So we decided to create these videos around our strategy and what we've been working on with our strategic plan around living in Lewis County, working in Lewis County, and building business in Lewis County. So I'm going to have Jenna share screen about 8 minutes to look at these 3 videos. They're actually very inspiring and they're very, very good. They are still in draft format. He is working on tweaking some things, so they're not the final version.
Can you just make me a host so I can share my screen?
Oh, I do? How do I? Okay, hang on.
Up by my name, there's the up by my mute button. There you
I'm excited for if anybody's on YouTube, they get a preview of these.
go.
Yeah. We should also thank Jerry. We are actually using some of the hospital video, little portions and snippets.
Okay, here we go.
I love living in Lauville and in Lewis County. I fell in love with it right away. I am Ellie Stelz. I own Miscellaneous Delights Company, where I do anything from stationery products to home decor, signage, mugs, and apparel, and lots of other random things in there. I think it is so cool just to be involved in a small community that is so local minded, that is passionate about supporting its local farmers, its local producers, and small businesses. I see that strongly in Lewis County and growing more and more, and I see a lot of good change coming. Lowville is just like my favorite town. I love the small town community and the local area, the beauty that's all around. Just like an hour drive, you can get to pretty much any type of scenery, and I just love that.
Living in Lewis County, for me, it's all about the great outdoors and being able to do so many different things, and not just the beauty of it, but the accessibility of it. My name is Sarah Kaza, and career-wise, I am a speech pathologist at Lewis County Hospital. It's pretty easy to find a work-life balance here, not just because I have a great job and I work with great people, but because I am so close to everything I love to do. So if I get out of work and I want to go kayak in Moose River, that's not a problem for me. I love the adrenaline that you can seek out in Lewis County. Sometimes it's all about adrenaline rush, and sometimes it's about being in a place where you're just connected to nature because it's the only thing around you at the moment.
That was our Living in Lewis County video. And this is is this the work here? Yep.
Yeah, a work here one.
For me, moving back to Lewis County and being around the people here was what really brought me back. I traveled overseas doing engineering work and always felt like this was home base for me. My name is Elliot Martin, and I work for Grand Slam Safety as a design engineer. The people here are focused on helping the people here and growing this community. And I feel that the mission here at Grand Slam Safety is to create a high-end product while still providing jobs locally and providing, economic development for Lewis County.
I had to leave the area to go to school for residency and medical school. It made me appreciate what I had at home here. I also came because there's a need for medical care. I felt like my talents would be better served here. I felt a privilege to come back and work with my hometown and the women of Lewis County. My name is Kelly Virchinoff. I'm an obstetrician gynecologist at Lewis County General Hospital. I think the patients overall are very appreciative if they find a good doctor that they like, and they'll let you know it. You don't always hear that as a physician out in the community. The area as a whole, I see a lot of new, smaller businesses starting from younger generations, people of my age group. That's very encouraging. The tide is changing and trying to promote small business in New York, and I think that's very valuable.
And one last one. This is owning a business here.
Our internet's been spotty here. Can't tell.
Maybe because 3 of us are trying to Zoom at the same time.
All right, we'll try. There we go.
Being a farmer here in Lewis County is one of the greatest opportunities that could be presented to a person, and I firmly believe that. My name is Blake Place, and I am one of the owners of Hidden Pastures Dairy with my husband Andrew Place. We have a goat farm here in Lewis County. We have about 100 goats that we raise. We produce goat milk gelato, goat cheeses, and we also ship fluid milk to processors across the state. Andrew and I came to Lewis County because there was a huge ag community that existed here already. There was a lot of dairy, there was a lot of wonderful farmland and really great opportunities to start a farm, raise a family, and really be in the heart of agriculture right here in Lewis County.
I'm a sucker for old buildings and creating employment. I truly mean that. I love having some responsibility for creating employment, whether it be an old paper mill or a restaurant. Being part of bringing it back, there's no satisfaction like it in my view. My name is Scott Sauer. I'm the plant manager here at Omnia Filtra. Around 40 people work at Omnia Filtra from a variety of backgrounds. But Lewis County, by and large, I think is Lewis County because of its people. Bar none, we have the best work ethic going. When Omnia Filtra came here in 2003, they encountered a number of entities that were willing to help. DANK was here, NCA was here, Lewis County IDA was here. We had a lot of outside private consultants come in and basically offer services for less than they normally would. So there was actually a pretty good collaboration just to get the thing up and running and get those initial jobs settled in here. I don't know, it just works where we can create a job and it makes sense, we're going to do it.
What do you guys think?
Nice. There, I mean, the quality is really good, and the folks that you found, to highlight was had a lot of good diversity there.
Mm-hmm.
A great job. What is the plan? I mean, are these going to be segments that are aired on just the website, or are we looking for like television, anything?
Yeah, we're looking at all the above. Jen and I are going to be kind of creating a launch plan of these videos. We're going to launch them in January. I think it would be great to also launch them along with our strategic plan and, what we've been working on here and what we plan to work on. So yeah, website, social media, there's a number of, people contact us all the time for advertising, video advertising opportunities, and we just never had a video to show. Eric's also going to be creating like smaller 30-second snippets for social media. He's going to be creating just a video with no speaking, no people, just kind of like the scenics for like our website. So when you open our website, that video will just start playing, no sound, but just the scenery shots. So we'll be continuing to plan for how we're going to launch these videos. Yeah, we're really excited for them, and hopefully, gives everyone that warm, fuzzy feeling about Lewis County. And now's the time to really be promoting, why you should live, work, and build business in Lewis County. Get out of the cities and move here.
All right. Great progress, and I think, aligns with all the momentum we have, right, to keep that going. So, anything else there?
No, we're all set with everything else. Need to go back to Duke, and I think we need to close out of that.
Right, and we have, yeah. Okay, so yeah, and we have been on about an hour now. So we can close the deviation hearing and revisit the Duke Leiden pilot. Again, it was emailed out by Cheyenne just this morning. And so if you have any questions for Cheyenne or Brittany or Kevin, we can have a little discussion here and then proceed.
Shai, do you want to give just a recap of the history of the project again, just where we've been and where we're at now? You're on mute.
You can hear me through the wall.
I can.
So Duke, like Brittany said earlier, they started coming to us back in the spring of 2019. It's 15 acre or a 15 megawatt project, 15 megawatts AC, 20.8 I think DC, but we used the 15 for the calculation. It was back and forth on where we would fall dollars per megawatt. Obviously, since this project was negotiated or has been negotiated, Joe and Brittany especially have done a ton of work over the summer to really help bring us up to speed, or I think get us way ahead of the game, in all honesty, in terms of what we understand about solar projects and what we want in Lewis County for solar projects. But this one was kind of grandfathered into the old UTEP system, and ended up really kind of where it would anyway under our new UTEP. But we were at $3,000. We got them up to $3,500. There was a large host community agreement and proposal to the town at one point. The county really pushed back on that. So they shied away from that a little bit. And we ended up at $1,250 per megawatt AC for a pilot, and our typical pilot fee. The pilot escalates at 2% or 1.5% on this one. I'm sorry, 1.5% for 25 years. And I think it ended up in a reasonable place, and hopefully Duke can move forward and get all of the other pieces in place. That they've gone through all the siting, but get all the other pieces in place to make this project happen, because it is a new thing for Southern Lewis County in particular to have a pilot of any sort, especially an energy pilot, and something that can help these landowners out and help those taxing jurisdictions out down that way. Am I missing anything, Brittany? This also involves a sales tax exemption for the building of the project. We find that these projects don't really require a ton of things that are going to be purchased locally. So the local tax exemption is not a huge hit. It's some gravel maybe and some miscellaneous items like that. It's not like a wind project where it's tons and tons and tons of gravel to build roads. It's a little bit of gravel. It's the local impact is not huge. The state impact, maybe they're buying fencing within the state. Maybe they get the panels within the state, probably not. So that number, they always ask for the full hard value, the hard purchases number to be open for claiming tax exemption. So on this project, that's $18.5 million. And the tax exemption is calculated off that, 8% of that. That's the maximum they can use. They need to submit to us each year their ST 340s from the state, telling us exactly how much they actually used. And honestly, I would expect that to be maybe $100,000 in tax exemption, definitely under 200,000. So that number looks huge in the resolution, but it will never be that big. I think somebody might be muted. Any questions on the resolution or the history of the project?
I guess I would like to just express disappointment that the community fund is not a part of it, but
I have a question on that as well.
This
Is that
is, go ahead, Ron.
I was just curious, is that gonna pretty much kill the community fund as far as these things do? One guy got away with it.
No, this is an odd size project, to be honest. It's not the 5 megawatt community solar project that definitely wouldn't have anything to do with the community fund, but it's not to a size like 100 megawatts or even 50 megawatts where we would really like to see those projects contributing to the community fund. This is only 15 megawatts. It's I don't think we would ever target this one for the LCDC to look at, to ask for.
You don't think we're going to have to cave on any other ones that are smaller? Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't think we would even bring this one to the LCD's attention. This size.
Yeah. Our original concept with the community fund was for large scale projects, not the community scale. And while this one does kind of fall into a gray zone, we had made that distinction before, effectively previously, prior to our new UTEP, was kind of along the lines of if it qualified for the Article 10 process, which this one does not. So we kind of talked about that as a rough guideline at the beginning of if it qualified for Article 10, then it would be thrown into that category. I think with our new UTEP, the language we have now is that through the UTEP, through the pilot process, we can take into consideration any community type agreements. So that new language opens the door for that evaluation to happen on any project. But, because this was kind of grandfathered into our old system and it wasn't an Article 10 size project, it kind of went this way with our old criteria. But our new criteria, changes that. The new UTEP, the language in there will allow us more discretion on where we look at, and these companies can submit their proposals of how they intend to invest in the community. So I would not be concerned about that aspect of it because moving forward, we have new language in the UTEP that addresses it. And this, even though our old process was, kind of in the planning stages, we basically developed a new UTEP before we really had to test the process further. But I think considering the size and the fact that this wasn't Article 10 is key to our former way of thinking. Kevin, any other comments or any other questions from anyone else?
I would just make a quick comment, I guess primarily directed at Darlene. Darlene likes to ask good questions, basically coming down to what are we doing? And this resolution summarizes in the whereas clauses, those are backgrounds, things that have been done on this project. Things like the town holding the seeker meetings to qualify for that, the IDA having its public hearing, and basically those are all sort of things that need to be done in order for the IDA to award benefits to a project. That last whereas paragraph so it says, okay, now we're ready to do it. The project's been negotiated and things. And then what this resolution does is it So number one, adopts the seeker findings from the town. Number two, it acknowledges that the public hearing was done. Number three is basically authorize. This is the crucial one. It's authorizing actual financial assistance to be provided to this project. It's going to be two types of financial assistance. One is the sales and use tax exemption, and the other is the partial property tax abatement. That's the crunch of the whole thing. That's section 3. 4 is just identifying the amounts for the sales tax or caps it is for it. Now, section 5 is what's called recapture. And that is that if a benefit is provided, like the company goes out and gets a sales tax benefit, and then they don't follow through with the project, or the project peters out or something like that, we can go back and theoretically anyway, and recapture that from the company. And it obligates the company, interestingly enough, to cooperate in any attempts to recapture that. And then we have the authorization to execute the documents, and the documents consist of a project agreement, and that's basically saying that establishes the sales tax benefit. Then there's the lease and the lease back. That's kind of a crazy thing that New York State wants us to do. And the company leases it from the property owner, then they lease it to the IDA, and the IDA leases it right back to the company. So it's a lease and lease back between the company and the IDA. And because the IDA is now involved in the ownership, even though we leased it and then we leased it right back again, because we're involved in the owners, the title to the facility, then we have the ability to grant a benefit to them for the property tax exemption. So that's just the crazy way that New York State does it. And then there's the pilot agreement. So there's a project agreement that has to do with sales tax, the lease and lease back that basically gives the IDA the position to offer these benefits. And then there's they call it the tax agreement in here. And that's the pilot agreement that talks about what the benefits are going to get as far as property taxes go. And the other paragraphs are just authorizing the various people to execute the documents that need to be executed. So I think it's a nice little summary of what the legal steps are for this project and what the IDA has to go through in order to authorize these benefits. And then it also summarizes very briefly what those benefits are.
Thanks for that summary, Kevin.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for that. And if there's no other questions, then we would have to seek a motion for this, and this will be a roll call vote for this. So, still open for any other questions, but if not, then we seek a motion.
Yeah, Joe, I would move the motion forward.
Jerry, second.
Second.
Tom, second. Any discussion? All right, so we'll do a roll call. Ron Byrne.
Aye.
Jerry Kerr.
Aye.
Tom Gillette.
Yes.
Darlene Rowson.
Aye.
Joe Lawrence. Aye. Gagan Singh, excused. All right. So that was the final item for approval for this meeting. We've gone through the discussion items. I draw your attention on the agenda to the next meeting's a budget workshop on December 17th at 8 a.m. and a regular board meeting on January 7th at 8 a.m. I'm sure Brittany will be in communication as to whether those will be how those will be hosted.
Yes.
Any other comments, Brittany?
I just want to say, obviously, this is our last board meeting of 2020. Just want to thank you all for sticking with us throughout this crazy year. Thank you for your time and dedication. And hopefully we'll see most, if not all of you at our budget workshop. And I will say that we will have a new board member at our January meeting. Mackenzie Lehman, she's an engineer for Bernier and Carr in Watertown. The Board of Legislators plan to, I guess, adopt a resolution that will assign her to the IDA board. So expect a 7th board member after many months of not having one. Any other thoughts, questions?
I have one thing that I'd like to say, and it has nothing to do with the IDA, but I don't get a chance to talk to Jerry very much. Jerry, you may not even know this, but my mother was, or my mother-in-law, that is a patient or a resident rather at the nursing home, and she developed COVID, and we thought that meant there was a death sentence and she was going to die because she's 96. She really only has one operating lung, etc. And she has received the most extraordinary care. And we just got the word yesterday, and it's still kind of emotional that she's doing okay. She ate her meal for the first time, and she is being released from the COVID unit or something, whatever it's called. And Jerry, I just want to say you can be really, really proud of those people up there at that staff. We call there probably 4 times a day to check in with video calls and just check it with the staff and this kind of thing. And they are, to a person, every single person up there has been fantastic. And they almost always conclude the conversation by saying, "I'll give your mom a hug for you." So I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Could I have the floor for a minute, Brittany?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it just, I appreciate that, Kevin. It's been a heck of a stretch. Let me add that we are on pace for the nursing home that by Monday, we will only have one person still designated as COVID positive. If things go according to plan. With COVID, you got to be careful, right? Because it doesn't always go according to plan. I think one of our challenges in our community is still a lack of respect for this virus. And the number of businesses that are not enforcing the mask guidance from the governor is like astounding to me. You know, it continues to be a political my impression is it continues to be a political issue rather than a public health issue. So in your circles, any influence you have, I just want to highlight that the mask creates a level of protection and is scientifically proven to help reduce spread. And we continue to fight that battle. We have transitioned to a new phase now in Lewis County that for the first time this week, there was a stretch. We only had one available bed in the hospital.
Whoa.
And, you know, in the spring when COVID was introduced to us, we were, I think there are 62 counties in New York State. We were the 61st county to get a COVID positive admission in the hospital. This morning, we have 6 COVID positive individuals in the hospital, and we have added 50% additional capacity. And I never thought this would happen in my career. I've read about it, but we now have an 8-bed ward. Now think about that. 8-bed wards went out in the 1930s. But when you only have one bed left, you have to be creative. So our Lewis County experience, the acute pressure was not something we experienced like Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, New York City. We're still managing it, but now it's closer. And folks are very sick. we were fortunate to get some of the experimental drugs and have been able to administer that to 3 individuals. But the criteria to be eligible for the experimental drugs is incredibly well-defined, and it has to be very early in the disease process. So, but the good news is we've given it to 3, and all 3 have really done well with it. So we continue to be on the list for some additional of this experimental drug. Healthcare inflation is ridiculous right now. What's happening, the price gouging in the supply chain is remarkable. We are paying upwards of $4 for an N95 mask, a single mask. The remdesivir that you've probably read about and heard about, we are paying $20,000 for 40 doses. Now, you know, the Medicaid program only pays so much, and the Medicare program has caps, but that's what's happening now. So I think the CDC director said the next 3 months are going to be dark, and I think he's correct. Fortunately, our community has had limited exposure to darkness of the COVID pandemic, but I think we're going to experience it. And I'll close with we're spending a lot of time thinking about how we can better communicate to the community, but we had a couple drive into the parking lot the other day. It was like late on a Friday, demanding a COVID test. You know, Jess, and I was astounded by it. They didn't want to have to come into the emergency department to go through whatever the processes are. So our community, I think, is struggling with respecting the virus. We have had, oh, by the way, we have had a positive admission and several positives in the community not admitted, directly related to the Thanksgiving holiday. So I think it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. Then we'll get to Christmas, and I think it'll replay itself. So this is just, you know, in your circles, everything you can to make sure you mask wearing, hand washing, and social distancing. And if I sound like a broken record, that's good, because it means I'm saying it a lot. But Kevin, I appreciate your kind words, and I will pass that on to the team there.
Please do. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. You know, a little off topic, but certainly appreciated and needed at this time, right? And I think it's a good reminder. I mean, you know, I guess thinking about wrapping up the year is just the tremendous job the staff has done this year, and in our department, right? And we kind of have to compartmentalize this stuff a little bit. And Jerry raises some extremely important points about what we can all do in our personal lives and what we can do as leaders in the community on this. But if we step back and think about how, as an organization, we were able to handle this to the best of our ability to support the sector of this county and the community that we're here to support, in terms of our businesses and just helping with communication and getting accurate information out. I think it's been a tremendous job done, and hopefully that's translated to, you know, other aspects of your lives as well, in terms of being able to provide leadership on this and set an example. So definitely good comments. And, you know, I think, I would just congratulate the county leadership as a whole. The press conferences, the attempts to get information out there have been very well done. Jerry, Ryan, Ashley Waite, and so I just think, you know, I've been very grateful to live in this community, despite some of the, as Jerry mentioned, some issues in the general public of respecting the disease. I've been very grateful for leadership we've had here in the county to tackle this as the best we can. So I think, that is something important as we wrap up this calendar year, even though we know we're not the end of the calendar year doesn't mean an end of the challenges, but I think we've navigated them fairly well so far, and hopefully we can just be stronger in the new year. So.
If I could, I want to also reflect on the 3 videos, and I probably should have done that when they were shown to us. Those were incredibly well done. But I also had an interesting thought, and this is the revenue side of me thinking. So Kevin, since the hospital did provide some footage, are there some royalty opportunity that I'm not maximizing or capitalizing on? So I just throw that out there from an economic development perspective.
I think if you copyrighted that stuff, you sure could. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it is copyrighted, and I don't remember signing off anything. So
well, there you go.
So I don't know. I'll have our attorney contact your attorney. But well done. Congratulations to you and the team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina Flint from the hospital, for helping us get that footage. It was very helpful in making that possible, especially with COVID going on in the hospital, so that we could properly show what goes on and give credit where credit's due.
Great. Thank you.
And we've tried to have a nice holiday party each year, and we'll certainly miss that opportunity this year. But happy holidays to everyone, and hopefully we'll, sometime next year we'll be able to get back to having some more regular in-person team interactions. So with that, I'll take a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
Second.
Darlene, a second by Jerry. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right. Meeting closed. So,
All
well, folks, have a great day, and keep in touch. So,
Thank you, everyone.
Take
Appreciate
care,
it.
everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.
Good day.